So I laid out on the table here our full Ride Tech suspension that's going to replace all the factory stuff on this truck. This is the most complete kit I've seen on the market. We do have to do a little bit of cutting to C-notch the rear frame rails, but Ride Tech already has it figured out for us. And we literally just cut the frame rails, slip these over, drill some holes, and it encapsulates our frame rail, making it super strong and sturdy. Puts a 4-link underneath the back of this thing, and it's gonna handle like a dream. So let's get cutting.
First things first, we gotta take the harness off, all the piping and everything that's attached to the gas tank so we can pull it completely out.
All right, Ride Tech sent us these templates for the frame rails. We cut these out of the paper they're on. We basically have to line up this hole that Ricky cut out with the hole in the frame here. Boom, boom. Now we'll mark these with center punch, and we'll cut this out of the frame rail on both sides, inner, outer, so from the center up basically. The parts that I showed you earlier bolt together and encapsulate this frame rail and strengthen it and fortify it so that the axle doesn't make contact with the frame rail.
This is the first C-notch cut for the truck, and look at that. Disgusting inside. No big deal, because we're gonna put all brand new stuff in here. It's gonna look great.
Now you can see the shape that we're trying to create there. It's gonna allow us to remove these leaf springs and shocks, push this axle up higher, and not have any contact issues, which is
Gonna
perfect.
go up a lot.
Yes.
Look at that. Look at that gap right now. All right, next thing I'm gonna smooth everything out so that way we don't cut ourselves. We're gonna primer it and then keep going.
Our sandwich plates are about to go on from Ride Tech. We got the frames C-notched. Everything's been cleaned up by Ricky, and we've sprayed it black so that it won't rust down the line. We're gonna smash these things on and get them bolted in. That worked out pretty good. So as you can see in here, the plate made its way all the way through. This is already welded shut. So now we have to grab the inner plate, which is this one right here. This bolts in right there. That boxes his frame rail back in with bolts from the top and bottom. And then all these holes you see in the sides of these plates are gonna get drilled through the frame rails, and we'll actually run bolts through those as well. So really fortifying this rear chassis and be able to slam this thing.
So now that we have these plates on, we are actually going to be drilling holes using this as a template so we can get the through bolts through it, and then we'll be able to bolt everything down even tighter than what it is right now. All right, so check this out. Both C-notch plates are mounted and bolted and cut and painted. The whole night is done. Now, we need to move out to the front side of the bed, which is gonna be these plates right here. But there's one problem, the leaf springs are still here. So we're gonna have to remove this first, then this is gonna go in here, and this is gonna actually sit flat with this. And we're gonna be doing the exact same thing with this. We are gonna be drilling holes and plating it from behind. But first, we have to remove the leaf springs on both sides so we can get started. So let's get it done. It's actually pretty heavy, man.
Yeah, it's a leaf spring.
I've never taken one out before.
This is your first leaf spring job?
Yeah. Oh, I want to kind of curl this. Yeah, I can do it?
No.
You don't think I can curl this? Oh, come on, do it easy day.
Dude, your face is so red.
This is heavy. Or I'm weak, one of the two. These springs are completely off now. It's time for us to start putting the new brackets in. This is one of them. This is gonna go in place where the front side of the leaf spring was at. You can see here, there's a hole that lines up with the frame, and this bolt's gonna go through it. It's gonna hold it in place. Not gonna be tight, it's gonna hold it in place. That way we can sandwich this plate, and then we can start drilling. All right, both brackets are completely bolted on, installed and torqued, so we're gonna keep going. Let's move on to the next thing. Both of the side brackets are mounted, top and bottom. I think it is time more either to start. I don't know what's next.
We have to look
I
at
gotta
the
read the
instructions,
instructions.
There's a lot of links that gotta go on here.
Damn. So the axle mounts, they're called axle mount and lower bars installation. So the axle mounts were already installed. Now we move into the bar installation, which is this one's right here. That's it!
All right, Ricky and I got the 4-link on. Now we're gonna move on to the panhard rod and the coilovers. So we gotta mount one more mount on the axle tube itself. That's gonna be the bottom mount for our panhard rod. And then we're gonna bolt on the bottom shock mounts, and then we'll get our coilovers on. Next step is to put our Ride Tech shocks together, come with all the parts. Just have to assemble everything. It's like a kit. So we're gonna put our bottom perch on. We're gonna leave it at the bottom, so we do have to preload these. Slide our spring on like that. Forget our washer so they don't squeak and bind. Slide the top mount over. At that point, we can put on the locking mechanism that will not allow the top collar to come off. Like that. Now we work the spring upwards to where there's tension on it, and then we'll take it over to the vise and we'll do a little preload on it per the specs in the manual, and they're ready to be mounted on the car. So we'll get these assembled, get them preloaded, and then we can hang this rear end once and for all.
Shocks are going on, baby.
That's gonna be so sick. That's gonna be so good.
Good thing, there you go. Didn't even move. She's ready to go, baby. Look at that. This thing, when it was in the air, the gap was like massive. Look at
So
this
one
now.
thing we didn't show is you threaded in the bump stops. So there are
Yes.
bump stops in the tops of these C-notches. They're right here. These are urethane, and they just threaded into a pre-existing hole in the Ride Tech kit. So if we do have the axle, or the suspension is too soft and it does make contact, you've got a bump stop there, which is nice. Man, this thing is gonna be low. All right, well, with Ride Tech's awesome instruction manual and my boy Ricky here, we were able to get this done in about a day and a half's time. The only thing left to do is our brake stuff. Typically that would have been done during this process, but because we're doing a disc brake conversion, this kit also came with pre-bent rear brake lines. So we're gonna do those as well. But we're not gonna do those until we do the brake kit as a whole, so we can do it all together and make sure everything jives and works together. So we're gonna leave the brake system the way it is right now with the drums on the back, and we're gonna move on to the front.
I know. We're almost done, baby. We're almost done.
First step on the front is going to be to get our Ride Tech shocks assembled. Just like the rears, the fronts are just a little bit shorter than the rears, but it's the same process to put them together. So I'm going to toss these together while Ricky's getting ready to start blowing the front end apart.
Before we start installing the Ride Tech equipment for the front, we need to remove everything you see here. Like literally everything. The whole spindles, the brake system, the upper control arm, the shock, the spring, everything must come off, so get to work. All right, suspension is completely blown apart on the driver's side, but it looks kind of disgusting in here, so I'm gonna clean this out to make sure it looks brand new before we start putting all the new parts in. It is time for us to start putting all the new parts in it so this thing can look beautiful and we can slam it even more. First step is going to be we need to transfer the wheel bearing into the new spindle, so let's get that done now. So here's our 2-inch drop spindle. We're going to transfer the bearing over and then we're going to get it on the car. All right, this is the upper mount. This was going to convert the stock front suspension to our aftermarket coilovers. So as you can see, it's an adapter. This will go to the stock location, and then our new coilover is gonna attach to this. But I need your help, buddy. I need you to get the top side, which you're gonna need 3 nuts, 3 washers. The coilover is installed. I love the blue. I love the silver contrast. Everything's looking super nice for our boy. Next step is going to be the upper control arm, and that's going to tidy up everything together, except the brakes, which we're going to do in the next segment. So let's get this done. All right, we are done with these sides for now. The Ridetech suspension looks amazing. Just look at it. It looks super cool. It looks like it's gonna go to NASCAR, go for a few turns. You're not ready.
Hey, that's sick.
Badass, huh?
Yeah, with the blue, dude.
Yeah.
Did you say it was sick?
This thing's gonna be so
Don't
good.
start the count again with the sick count. I am not gonna be part of the sick count
You
ever
were part
again.
of it in the last one. I'm the only one that hasn't been a part of it so far.
You weren't even in the video. You don't count.
I avoided the whole thing.
I'm not saying sick again, that's what I'm saying. This is sick! That's it for this time. We're gonna move on to the next side. It's time to move to the passenger side. And if you guys have never taken a full suspension apart, I like to start by taking the tie rod off. That way I can free spin this, and it's easier for me to get to the other bolts on the other side. Once I get all the old junky stuff off, I'm gonna clean everything else that's gonna be staying in the vehicle, and I'm gonna be installing the brand new Ridetech suspension on. All right, front passenger side is all cleaned up and painted. Take a look.